All right, guys, what is going on? Joey here. We got a little bit of a different one for you today. I'm just going to be breaking down a video from the OG, Mike T. For those of you that don't know, Mike is probably responsible for introducing the idea of using the RPE system that I believe was originally used by runners and bringing it to powerlifting many, many moons ago, probably like 13 years ago, something like that. I believe Elliot Sykes works under RTS, who Mike T is the founder of, I believe. And yeah, we're just going to go over a post that he made on Instagram that I thought was pretty useful or pretty interesting or pretty, relatable. I think he posted a follow-up today, or just a second part to it. So yeah, I'm just going to give it a little signal boost. I thought it was a nice message to sort of amplify. So I'm just going to go ahead and read it. Sometimes the first sign of burnout isn't fatigue, it's indifference. So not the physical aspect, but it's like the lifter just like doesn't care, right? Like they're just kind of like whatever. Like they're going to the gym, just kind of going through the motions. They don't really have a direction or goal, or not really invested. Fatigue gets your attention. Indifference doesn't. It just creeps in quietly. You still train, you still log, you still move forward, but the spark fades. Makes sense? Fatigue getting attention, the takeaway from that to me is you can address it. You can actually make active adjustments to fix it, and you feel it sort of happening when it's happening. Indifference, it just boom. Like one day you just kind of wake up and you're just like not excited to go to the gym or something, right? That doesn't always mean something's wrong. After competitions, for example, Bryce CBB, I believe he's talking about Bryce Krawczyk, I could be wrong, often goes through a stretch where training feels a little less serious, less driven. He calls it orbiting further away from planet powerlifting. That makes sense. This essentially, especially after competition, you just put so much energy and effort in to a competition. There's probably like a big adrenaline dump, and then after the competition, you have like the largest possible distance, between this competition and the next competition. If it's going to be 6 months to a year, whatever, kind of feels like the meet's really far away. I don't really need to take anything serious, and I'm gonna do something else or get a little bit loose on things, and your habits just kind of fall away. It's a normal thing that some lifters experience. Then he says that phrase stuck with me because sometimes that orbiting is exactly what you need. So taking a step away and sort of creating a little bit of distance might be what you need to sort of revitalize things. You can't stay in peak focus forever. Periods of distance help you reset the relationship. I would agree with that. I would say depending on how advanced the lifter is and what their goals are and what they're trying to do, that time frame away from planet powerlifting is, you can't afford for it to be too long sometimes. And that can definitely take a toll on people for sure. I've seen it many, many times. I believe around the time of the World Games, a lot of lifters doing that meet were a little vocal about like, wow, I just went back to back to back meets, going all out. Like I'm literally dying. I need a break, but got to do the World Games. Can't turn the switch off yet. He continues to say, but when connection does return, it is a force multiplier. Blaine Sumner used to tell me he could summon a visceral connection to squats on command, like flipping a switch. I kind of agree with that. When I was squatting super heavy, the idea of going into squat super heavy was almost like a fight or flight thing, and just the idea of going to fight that monster was very enticing to me, if that makes sense. He felt the ability was a secret weapon. He could do it often. He could do it in bench too, but rarely in deadlift, which also happened to be his most inconsistent lift. Totally makes sense. Totally makes sense. This is where experience and guidance can be helpful. So having somebody to look over your training or sort of pull you out of those moments when you're feeling a little bit less motivated or willing to want to continue to, chip away at those gains, right? Get back in the gym and do what you got to do. Having somebody there that can sort of pull you away and give you some perspective and remind you what you're fighting for, remind you why you're doing this, can be very helpful, and it can sort of, spark the flame that once you get in the gym will sort of ignite. Sometimes you need a change of environment or something to help you foster the connection. Yep, sometimes that could be. I have so many examples of, especially a lot of my girls, like if they're just training alone, there's kind of nobody around them, they just train like one way, and then once they get into another environment and all their friends are around, there's a lot of energy. It's a completely different lifter. I've literally seen like a lift move like an RPE or two faster just from hype. So that is definitely a thing. Other times you need to let distance happen. You need to orbit further away, let things cool off so that you can return with vigor. Sometimes it takes experience to know the difference. Yeah, no problem with that. And then I believe there's a second portion. And he said, respectfully, friends, it's all about how far you want to go. If you just want to get strong, have some fun, whatever, then that's great. The 80-20 rule works fine. Okay, this is kind of what I was touching on earlier about how I said you need to, if you're a professional, like this is what you do, that might mean you need to be closer to 90-10, maybe 95-5 even sometimes. If you want to get seriously strong and see how far you can take your own body, then it's going to go quite a bit beyond that. Yep. Yes, it is. The details will matter more and more. Just don't make the mistake of thinking that all you know is all there is to know. Now, this part, this was a little bit interesting to me. I think that when lifters get caught up in their reality, there is sort of there's this weird relationship between lifting because they think that everything that they've experienced is all there is to experience, and it's just always going to be that. And this can sort of bring on that indifference, thinking like, wow, like, okay, prep's going to feel like this, and meet day's going to feel like this, and I'm just kind of going through the motions, and da 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 da. That's why for me, when they announced Sheffield, this is me thinking as a coach, not a lifter, I was super amped because it gave us like another big carrot to chase, right? Another good goal, another thing to go after, right? I agree with the statement on its own. Just don't make the mistake of thinking all you know, like what you know is what you know. I definitely am constantly challenging myself, thinking about how I'm doing things and trying to figure out where could we fail and what attack vectors, on my process there could be, like what can we do to be better. So I totally understand that, but I feel like this statement is, just don't make the mistake of thinking, that's how I related to this post is literally just, I think when you are boxed in and the parameters of, your powerlifting are kind of monotonous, then it can affect your perception of the goal, a perception of where you're going, perception of what it is that you want to do, and creating that distance and that time away. It's very interesting, right? Because I have lifters that I just had a girl compete in Europe, and she's like, before the competition, she was thinking, man, I can't wait to take like a little break, right? After the competition, she's like, I think she had like a problem with her weight cut or something like that. She weighed in really, really light for some reason. I did not do the cut, so we're going to take a look at that. But she had a really good deadlift. The deadlift was great. We had a good PR on that, and she was very excited about that. And that's sort of like, because she knows that she was strong on the day and it was just something with her cut, she wanted to get back in the gym so she can compete again, so she can correct those mistakes or whatever happened with the weight cut. And then she can hit the numbers that, I believe in, that she believes she can hit, and she can have that super meet. So it kind of like fires you up. Falling short of a goal, sometimes when you get everything that you want right away, you can really get that sort of sadness or that sort of post-meet blues feeling, that indifference that creeps in. And then, just got to reset, recalibrate, allow yourself to experience those feelings, feel the pain, feel the sadness, feel whatever. Zoom out a little bit, and then it'll come back. If it is what you want to do, you know, if you truly are bitten by the iron bug, it will come back. And then you can fire it up again and hit it again. And then in the future, when this happens again, you can look back at things and say, you know, I've been through this before. I know how I got out of it. I'm not going to let it stop me from going where I want to go and doing what I want to do. And then you can be great. And that's really all there is to it. So anyway, I thought this was a good post by Mr. Mike. We'll continue to do videos like these because it's a lot easier than having to come up with the topic on my own unless I'm super passionate about it in the moment. Also, I think it's, you know, just going through, if you guys have any piece of powerlifting informative content that you want me to kind of break down and give my take on, I've been told that I have a knack for simplifying things, and I can do that for you guys, so no problem. Let me know in the comments down below if you guys made it this far. We'll bring back the hashtags. Let me get a hashtag. Keep working in the comments down below. See you in the next one. Peace.